This is everything you need to know about the difference between leads and deals inside of Monday.com Sales CRM. By the way, if you'd like us to help you set up Monday.com for your business, check out the link in the description below. Anyway, as you can see here, I'm inside of my example Monday.com system. Now, a question I regularly get from prospective clients and active clients is, what is the difference between the leads area and the deals area inside of Monday Sales CRM? And it's a very valid question. So let me walk you through the function of leads and then the function of deals, and then hopefully we can piece it all together. So the leads area in any CRM system generally is something that I would describe as a dumping ground, okay? I know that sounds a little bit confusing. The purpose of leads is you can put any data into the leads area, and this is anyone that has ever shown any interest in anything that you are selling, okay? So the criteria to enter into the leads area, i.e. the CRM system, is practically zero, provided that essentially they have a pulse, right? And then what you would do is you would work to qualify a lead. So you would go through a qualification process. So data gets entered into your leads area. You are actively working the lead. So that's reaching out to them, understanding more about who they are, what they do as a business, what the issues that they have are. And that's typically like a triage. Is at no point are we selling to them. We're just trying to understand more about them and if we can help them. The best way to qualify, or the qualification criteria that a lot of people use for leads, is BANT. So it's budget, authority, need, and timing. So can they afford what you're offering? Do they have the authority to make the decision? Do they need it? And is the timing right, in the sense that would they be moving forward with this in the next couple of weeks? Or would it be something they'd look at in 6 years' time, for example? So you can extract leads from anywhere. You've got obviously lists that you can buy. You can have opt-ins via ads, outbound efforts. You can generate your own lists. There's 1,000,001 ways to generate leads. They all then end up in your leads board inside of Monday.com. And your responsibility is to then qualify those leads through the BANT formula, or however you want to do it. And then once they are qualified, then they go on to the deals pipeline. And that's the key distinction between the two. So leads area is the dumping ground. You filter it using your filter or qualification criteria. And if they are then interested in understanding more about what you have to offer, and they meet your qualification criteria, then they become a deal. And this is the actual sales process. So this is where you would kind of, have your sales meeting. You would introduce them to the product or service that you offer. You would prepare a proposal. You would send the proposal. You would probably negotiate terms on the proposal. They would then agree to move forward. You would send them over a contract. You would then await payment. And then they would either be closed won or closed lost, obviously dependent on the outcome of that particular deal. But what a lot of people seem to do, and the mistake that they make, is they put leads onto the deals board. So essentially they get contact information and they assume that that is then immediately a deal. Unfortunately, as nice as that would be to be the reality of things, it's very rarely true. So it's important that we protect our deals board as best we can. The reason being is we want accurate forecasting information. We want accurate close percentages, because imagine if I put all of my leads onto my deals board. Imagine if I didn't have a leads board at all. Then my close percentage is probably going to be 10%, 5%, because 95% of the leads that we generate are not going to buy anything. So that's why we have a leads area to dump them in and then filter them through. And then only the good ones then end up on the sales pipeline. And there's still, a 50-50, 70-30% chance that they are going to buy. So that's why we delineate between the two. We have leads and then we have deals. And then these are our two different pipelines. Now, quite often within businesses, you'll have a BDR, business development representative, given leads, or they generate leads and they create meetings. And this is where they would manage their meetings or the generation of those meetings. And then once they book a meeting with a prospect, then it gets handed over to an SDR, sales development representative. And then that gets managed on the sales pipeline. So the leads area is to triage, essentially find out who they are, what they do, generate data on them, and make sure that they are qualified for the thing that you're potentially offering, and that they're interested in the sense that they've booked a meeting, they've met your criteria, and then they go over to the deals board, and then the actual sales process begins. And the sales process can be really long. That's not a problem. It's just that you wouldn't want to have all your leads on the deals board. It would make no sense. Like I said, you want to keep it clean. You want the data to be accurate. You also don't want to clutter kind of the deals area with hundreds and hundreds of records, and then the salespeople never get around to dealing with them. So that's the distinction between the two. Now, 9 times out of 10, I would say businesses need both. So they need the leads area and they also need the deals area. However, there are circumstances where the leads area is redundant. I'm going to walk you through a couple of examples. You know, it's up to you at the end of the day whether you choose to use them. I think there's no need for leads if you have a means of generating business, or not generating business, but at least generating interest where they are already qualified, in the sense that everyone that comes through your pipeline, so opts in or whatever, you can sell to. So there's a good chance that you can sell to them. A good example actually is kind of what we do. So the only way to actually get in touch with us is you have to fill out a form, and then you can schedule a meeting, right? If you need help with Monday.com, you can do that using the link below. Because of the way I have structured the setup and the application, I will know anyone that's coming through, subject to the questions that they answer, they can go straight onto the deals pipeline, because I know that they're a valid opportunity. That doesn't mean to say that we don't get deals or leads that are unqualified, in the sense that they don't meet criteria. That does happen, but there's an argument to say that I can manage everything on one pipeline. I, however, despite that, still use both leads and deals. When someone opts in, that generates a lead. When they then schedule the call, that generates the lead, but updates that they have scheduled the call. I can then see all of the information. And then once I meet with them, then I will qualify them, because sometimes I'll have a sales call, for example, and the person just needs help with Monday.com. They have actually no interest in purchasing anything from us, which I shut that down fairly quickly, but that does happen. And they would be an unqualified lead because it's evident that they have no interest in purchasing from us. So those are the distinctions between the two. You've got leads, you've got deals. There are some instances where businesses might not look to use leads at all, but 9 times out of 10, I think it makes sense. If you're generating leads on Facebook, you can't assume that all Facebook leads are going to buy from you. So someone needs to qualify them. Once they're then qualified and scheduled onto an actual sales call, then they can go over to the deals area. If you're doing outbound efforts, you would obviously have a data list that is provided. You would then reach out to your list. However you choose to do that, manually, automatically, that's obviously entirely up to you. And then once you schedule a meeting with a prospect from that list, then they become a deal and they get qualified and move over to the deals area, but only if they, again, meet your criteria. You don't want to put people on the deal pipeline if they don't have the budget or the authority or the need or the time. They're not interested in moving forward anytime soon. So that's the distinction. I understand why it's confusing and why people don't understand the difference. And obviously the terminology can be weird. If you're not familiar with deals, you might be familiar with opportunities, and leads are sometimes called prospects in different systems. You can rename these whatever you want, by the way. So just press the 3-dotted button on the left-hand side and press rename, and you can, 3-dotted button on the right-hand side. Yeah. And you can rename them to kind of fit how you see it. With leads as well, and this is another thing that I think needs to be explained, you can have multiple prospects or multiple leads from the same company. So you can see here, I've got myself, and there's all the information about myself. Now you then might have someone else from the same company. So let's say I put Alex, and Alex at crmcrew.com is also a lead. So you track leads on an individual basis, as in a person basis. I see some people try and manage leads as accounts. So they would add a lead as a business, essentially like CRM Crew Limited. That doesn't make sense, because leads, you liaise and communicate and prospect with the people inside of the organization, not the organization itself. The organization wouldn't exist without the people. So you have to communicate with the people. So you would have multiple leads, and you can have hundreds, maybe not hundreds, but 10, 15 leads all from the same company, especially if the company is a big company, and they can be your different angles to get into and kind of prospect and hopefully book a sales call. And you can then book a sales call with one person within the same organization, and then they bring other people in who you might have already had as leads. And then you can convert those from leads to deals as well. That's kind of the process. Now you'll notice on here as well that on the leads area, you've got every single piece of information about this lead. And that again is intentional. Leads area and the leads is siloed in the sense that all data about that particular lead is contained in one place. When you then qualify a lead, the idea would be that it would then automatically create a deal, a contact, and an account. So contact information such as first name, last name, email, phone number would go over to the contact. Account information such as the company name and anything else, and maybe employee size, number of employees, would go over to the accounts. And then you would have deal information, which would be, let's say, I don't know, in this instance, whatever, like lead source would be something that would go over. You might have like the thing that you're selling as a drop down menu, and then they'll automatically connect with one another. So leads is siloed. It's a dumping ground. Once a lead is qualified, by working them and scheduling a meeting or whatever your qualification is, then they become a deal, a contact, and an account. They automatically connect with one another, and then you would have multiple leads or prospects all within the same organization, and you could be sending them different emails, different lines of communication, all in order to book those sales calls. So hopefully that explains the difference between the two and give you an idea as to how it works. Like I said, I think leads and deals applies to most businesses. There are some instances where it doesn't, but for the most part, it applies for all of them. Hopefully this video has been helpful. If you would like us to help you set up Monday.com for your business, check out the link in the description below. We would love to help. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.